Hey everybody, it's Miss Marjon. Welcome to another episode of The Convo with Miss Marjon. And I'm telling you, we have an awesome episode today. We're going to be talking about AIDS, HIV awareness, have a real conversation with some amazing guests that I got here, with me. So please don't touch that dial, that mouse or whatever you got going on, because we're going to have a juicy, in-depth, real talk about AIDS prevention, awareness, you name it. All right, so let's go, y'all. All right, let me bring my guests. Rosalind, Jacquise, what's going on, y'all?
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. Enjoying this. Can't wait to talk.
Yes, I'm super excited, y'all. I'm super excited to have y'all. And here's the thing, y'all. Before we get started, I want to make sure that all our listeners, our guests, first of all, you can drop a comment right there. Hey, if I can't get to it, Jacquise, she's always on social media. Rosalind's going to be dropping some knowledge. This is an open space, y'all. We got to be real, right? And then also, Rosalind, we talked offline. Boom. Gospel Against AIDS. She'll be talking about her organization, but that's the information. The website, we'll be putting that up throughout the show so you can make sure you follow. Rosalind, I know you're going to have probably some people that want to volunteer, get involved with, down with the cause and everything. All right. So we wanted to go ahead and put that out now. Gospel Against AIDS, which is Rosalind's organization, but also drop a comment. All right. So today's topic, y'all, we are talking about AIDS, HIV talk, real talk. Thank you again for both coming on. And I'll be working behind. I do so many different things. So I'm going to be doing the engineering stuff, the hosting. But I want y'all to talk. First of all, before we get started, Rosalind, let's talk about Jacquise posted this on Facebook. Jacquise is like family. She don't even, I call her fam. She posted a heavy post. Jacquise, you start off with what you posted. And then Rosalind, I want to hear about your organization and how you two connected. Go ahead, y'all.
Hey, Marjon, thank you for having us. You talk about you do everything. You just being a Black woman, right? We everything. We the superheroes of the community and really of the world. And you really shocked me by asking me to speak. I had just got my results back. I did my annual pap smear, and with that comes the HIV/AIDS test. Because they ask you if you want to be tested, and I said yes, of course, because I want to know what my status is. That's something Rosalind taught me. And in our training, I learned that 33% of people in Michigan with HIV and AIDS don't know they have it. And I just never want that to be me. I'm just out here rolling around, la 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 la, ignorant. And so when I got my results, I just put it online. I'm like, yo, Black women, if we the leading demographic of newly infected cases, do you know what your status is? So I put it online. Everybody want to talk about everything but what the stuff we need to be talking about. So when I use my social media to talk about the real deal, and I'm a Black woman. I just was tested. I want to have a conversation. Have you been tested? Period. That's it.
Well, Jacquise, and how did you get it? Were you tested through Rosalind's organization? Like, how did you get connected with Rosalind?
Yeah, you know what? This particular test, I was not tested through our organization. Like I said, this was with my annual pap smear. And Rosalind does a lot of things, but she ain't out here swiping and swabbing vaginas. They hadn't got to that point yet. But you know what? If if she had to do it, I'm sure Rosalind would get down and do what she needed to do. But in all seriousness, no, I see Dr. Roberts with Henry Ford Health. You know, I go to her every year. So and during my annual pap smear, I did a whole panel of testing. So that's what happened this particular time.
Okay.
And I met Rosalind when I was working for Congressman Hanson Clark. She had come in as our constituent, looking for funding and and connections and relationships with those in the community. And you can't meet Rosalind and not end up working with her or for her. I mean, it's just, she has this commanding energy where you voluntold to do whatever she's doing. And she's just so beautiful, it's like you want to be in her company, and the essence that she exudes is like, whatever you doing, let me just get on board. I ain't know nothing about no HIV/AIDS and no testing. No, me as an HIV/AIDS tester and counselor, are you kidding me? I don't have a science background. She just like, baby, sweetness, it don't matter. Just come on.
Right.
Sweetness.
She said, just come on.
Just come on.
Just come on. And that's a good lead in, Jacquise. Real talk, y'all. For you just join us, we're getting ready to get into the nitty gritty of this AIDS, HIV talk. So, Rosalind, you meet Jacquise, and she just, like you said, you tell us about you and your organization. When I saw Gospel Against AIDS, I was like, you know how I'm thinking, Jacquise, real talk. I'm thinking it's like a nonprofit where it's just, that's what we used to with nonprofits, just a nonprofit, no shade, just awareness. But when I saw all the church connections and affiliations, I said, ooh, this is about to get real deep.
Yes.
Because the church is
international impact. Wait till you hear what she's doing all around the world. I mean, we were testing in meth clinics. I'm like, meth clinics, churches. I mean, she's in those unconventional places. The places that most of us would run away from, not necessarily the church, but that's where she is. She's meeting people where they are. She like, yo, you doing your thing in the meth, getting your little hit, your little fix. Let me come to where you are.
Wow.
She's where the population that needs the services. She's not running from the needle users. And instead of saying, hey, let's forget about that population. I don't know, Rosalind, if you talk on doing any the clean needle exchanges. I'm not sure if she did anything like that.
Right. We talking. Wait, me and Jacquise talking about you, Rosalind. Now we got to give you some space because I was getting ready to jump off for what Jacquise was saying about
the conversation. Y'all can
we talking about you like you ain't even here. Wait, I'll get right to say, Jacquise, what about giving condoms out in the church? But y'all, without further ado, Rosalind.
Yes.
Please tell us about Gospel Against AIDS and all who you are and what you got going on, man. We a trip, ain't we? That's what family does, don't we?
And it's fine. First, let me give all glory to God, who is the Father of my house. I absolutely adore Jacquise, and it is a pleasure meeting you, Miss Marjon. Thank you for having me on the program. There are a couple of things that Jacquise said that are very, very crucial. Annual tests, normalizing this. Let's not think of HIV tests as something apart from what you do normally, particularly as a woman. We've been around for 30 years. We are a citywide, statewide, national, and international program. I started it in houses of worship 30 years ago because it was just on my heart. I'd heard people being so ostracized because of their HIV status. And even afraid to talk about it in the church. So, of course, I was like the bumblebee that no one told couldn't fly. I just went in and asked, how come you guys aren't testing? And people looked at me and either said, we can't do it, or we don't know how. We don't have information. And because I guess I went in non-judgmental, I just started providing trainings for those churches who wanted them. Once they had the training, they had an understanding. And, a lot of that was based on fear. When we don't know something, we are afraid of it. So we took this step by step. So now you have information. Now you understand. So let's go the next step. Let's start providing testing here. And the populations that houses of worship, and I say houses of worship because that is inclusive of so many of the different theological beliefs that we have outreach to. So you have folks coming in. You have folks that come in once a year for Christmas or Mother's Day. You have people who regularly come in to get a meal. You have a Feed the Hungry program. You have AA programs. You have a number of outreach programs which churches are supposed to do where populations need to be tested within the congregation, within the religious leaders' families themselves. So when we started, the doors of the churches were closed. And now I can honestly say the doors of the churches are opening. And they're opening worldwide. We have gone anywhere from Baptist to Catholic to Jewish to synagogues to Muslim to mosques, wherever there is a need and wherever anyone would let us in. And from that, our outreach went into correctional facilities. We went into 7 in the state of Michigan, and in those facilities, they started chapters of Gospel Against AIDS.
Well, let me go into the first question dealing with HIV awareness. But before we go into our little nitty gritty stuff, if you just join us, talking to Rosalind from the founder of Gospel Against AIDS, and also Jacquise the experience. Wait, Jacquise, say that. What's your thing? I'm gonna make sure I say that. Say
the Purifoy Experience. The Purifoy Experience.
Purifoy Experience, and that's exactly what it was. Your experience, Jacquise, getting tested, having this, HIV testing. And that's how we kicked off connecting and everything and so forth and talking about this. But the first question I want to throw out there is, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have today about HIV?
And, that is a very good question that I would actually have to turn around and ask you guys. Because in the day it was, well, this is a gay white male disease. So that's way back. We're dealing with the 80s and 90s. And then we realized it wasn't. It never was. The same time that HIV was discovered in the gay white community, it was also in the African American community, but no one talked about it and no one knew about it. So they were growing up at the same time. Rates were going up. And at one point, African American community exceeded the rates of gay white males. Why? We're not predisposed to anything. It was a lack of access to information and a lack of access to testing.
Wow.
Period. So we were convinced just by media that this had nothing to do with us. And in fact, it had everything to do with us.
Wow, drop the mic. Let me tell you why I wanted to do this. I didn't tell Jacquise this, but the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I actually just imagine, and I'm like, I'm unconventional. I don't know what may come out of my mouth, but I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I ain't gonna lie with y'all. I was out with a person that I was just like doing some business with, and you know how you get to talking about one subject, and then out of nowhere, this person confided in me and told me they were HIV positive. And I'm thinking to myself, I just hugged this person. They done probably had some of their spit fly on me because we was, talking. And I'm like, I almost cussed. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
I was like, how you be sitting there and you sitting there like, because we done been so consumed with what, COVID, smoke from Canada. I mean, all this other overwhelming stuff. And I'm sitting up here looking at this person like, this person is like, I'm still processing and thinking I hugged this. So misconceptions. And just keep in mind, while we were dealing with COVID, while we were looking at these fires and the smoke, people are still having sex. They're still injecting drugs. They're having unprotected sex. If you have one unprotected sexual encounter, you set yourself up to contract HIV. And not just HIV. Here we now have dual infections, which makes it more difficult to treat. So you now have syphilis.
and gonorrhea and chlamydia. So imagine those on top of having HIV. So again, that makes it more difficult to treat. And then you are walking around because you don't know your status, having sex with other people. So one unprotected sexual encounter, you have potentially had sex with 21 people because you had sex with a person they had sex with, the person they had sex with. And this is how the virus is spread. It isn't anything more difficult than that, or intravenous drug use. We have worked with agencies that do needle exchange programs. Okay. But there's also all the paraphernalia that's associated with that, the cookers and the syringe and da. So you have that piece. Okay. But again, the misconceptions, who this impacts, how it impacts. And just because you're not hearing about it doesn't mean it's not happening. The Center for Disease Control was closed down. The website was closed down for some months. As a matter of fact, there have been so many agencies that have lost funding till we actually do not know what the infection rates are. So that's all. That should be an alarm already.
Wait, Rosalind, let's put a pin in it. Are you saying as of 2026, you don't have accurate data saying?
Absolutely. That is absolutely.
Because on top of the reason why I mentioned that story to both of y'all, because think about it, that was it was a joke, but not a joke that if somebody spit on you could get, oh, wait, I got AIDS. Oh, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hell, they spit on me. Or touch. And like you said, break down, Rosalind, how can you get HIV, first of all? Because, some of us.
Yes. So, sex, anal, vaginal, oral sex has the least amount of transmission possibilities. So I always tell women and men, if you're being violated, and remember, this is another part of transmission too. If you're being raped, get on top because the fluids will go out, or offer oral sex because the saliva, the stomach acids will kill the virus. It's a very weak virus. It starts to lose its potency within 15 minutes after being exposed to air. So there's anal, vaginal, oral sex, intravenous drug use, blood transmission and transfusion. Although they have a lot of mechanisms now to make sure the blood is pure, there's still a possibility. So I tell folks, if you're going in for surgery, you can store your own blood.
Dang.
We also talk about things you don't talk about, transmission, routes of transmission. If you are getting high, whatever, your vision, your thoughts, your reasoning is now impaired. So you will do some things that you may not normally do with people you may not normally do them with. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And while the virus is in all bodily fluids, it is in saliva, it is in urine, it is in sweat. It is not, hear this, transmitted in those fluids.
Okay.
Blood, vaginal secretions, sex, yes, transmit the virus.
Right.
If a man is ejaculating in you, of course, even pre-cum, there's still the virus and possibility of transmission if you are having sex.
Wow. You almost need to repeat that again, but no, we feel you. And I mean, knowledge is power, right, y'all?
It is. Yes, it is. Now, I apologize if I'm being too graphic for.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, you good. I have people come on, they say, can I curse? I was like, well, just make sure, not like a sailor, but no, this is freedom of speech. There's no censorship, no nothing. That's why we do it, because you have to be.
Absolutely.
Even like I'm about to ask you the next question, Jacquise, was there any kind of misconceptions you had about it? Like anything, like me, I ain't gonna lie. I speak the truth. I tell people, like I said, that lady, I think she's, how you start, like, I think she spat on me. You know, it threw me off. I knew I couldn't get AIDS, but or HIV, and that's my next question. But Jacquise, any misconceptions on your end?
You know what? Me having my daughter at 13, I really felt like put me in a different position than many. I've been hyper vigilant for a long time. So I'm 44. I started having sex early. I was pregnant off pre-cum. And because of my personal experience, I've been very intentional about the type of sex that I have, the type of people I have sex with, and the information that I'm getting. See, I don't get my information from the Google Streets or the Facebook posts or Facebook. I get my information from trusted sources. You see the type of people I roll with. You see the company I keep. Rosalind is not just somebody I done found whimsically down, on social media. This is a person I can pick up the phone and talk to. This is a person that I can pick up the phone and say, hey, I need to see you in real life. We had a situation where a young lady contacted me and she had unprotected sex with someone who she became fearful that she may have been exposed. And this young lady, it was a Sunday, and this young lady was so afraid that she was threatening to kill herself.
Yes.
So I got on the phone with Rosalind, like, do you have any emergency testing sites? How can we help this person? And then Rosalind was able to get her tested, and thank God the woman didn't have it and she didn't kill herself, and all worked out. So to answer your question more succinctly, no, I didn't necessarily have any fears or misconceived myths because I started having sex very early, and that led to me getting a lot of information very early. When you think about myths, if I sit on the toilet seat, and a little bit of pee, somebody else pee get on me, and I get HIV. No, you can't. If I get a little bit of spittle, somebody talking close, and it get in my eye or get in my mouth, can I get it? No. If I hug somebody, even if you had an open wound, let's say you had an open wound and she touched your hand, and no, you won't be able to get it.
Right.
And also, like Rosalind said, with the secretions, I'm a lesbian, so I'm in a lower risk category for sex and the transmission of HIV that way. I also am an avid user of my chart and going to the doctor with partners to make sure that I see the test is administered by a licensed professional. We get the results. We had the conversations, because I also tend to sleep with straight women, and straight women sleep with men. And I know you may ask, well, how you sleep with straight women if she sleep with you and she's straight? Listen, people label themselves however they want to, and I stopped fighting women who sleep with me and still consider themselves straight. Girl, you straight, I'm straight. We having gay sex, it works for me. So I tend to sleep with straight women because that's how they identify themselves. And it's usually like, I like Jacquise. I have sex with Jacquise, but I don't like women. It's a weird thing, Marjon, that I don't even know how to answer the why or how that works.
Man, you touched on so much. I got questions about. Man, we about to go in, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, these women still sleep with men, so they are in a higher risk of exposure. And like Rosalind said, you sleep with somebody who sleep with somebody else. I'm sleeping with 21 people. I don't sleep around, and I don't want to necessarily get attached to me 21 bodies that I didn't even have fun with. We're gonna have 21 people. They all need to be in the room, Marjon. You know what I'm saying? Right. Not just in the peripheral. Like, let's go.
Well, and see, that's something else, Rosalind, Jacquise. I have I have a question now, but it's two questions I got. Okay, Rosalind, I know we're talking about, and Jacquise, HIV, and we ain't even tippy-toed into AIDS, because I think we need to get some definition about understanding about that. But because think about it, we got HIV and AIDS, but then we got STDs. See, we got to break this down. See, people are having sex. Like you said, people are still having sex, but they have no clue or no strategy plan on how, like Jacquise, like you said, okay, we going to have sex. You going to go to the doctor. I need to see your, forget your tax income or other. I want to see your medical form. I want to get your paperwork out, because,
That's right.
And let me just say this real quick before we talk into that. This particular person, and this goes into like what advancements have been made in HIV prevention and treatment. And you can please lump this together, Rosalind, Jacquise, and STDs as well. But I looked at this person who confided me and told me they was, HIV positive, and I'm saying to myself, damn, you look good. I mean, they look good, and it was just like throwing me all the way the hell off. Once again, I'm speaking on my behalf, misconception, because you be thinking people sick, and I'm like, damn, you look better than me. Shit. I'm looking at like, what are you on? What are you taking? So I'm gonna be quiet, let you address that, y'all. Like, what are some of the advancements? Because it ain't like it used to be back in the day. And I'm just speaking for folks, real talk.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because people always have this idea, this misconception, you can look at someone and tell if they're HIV positive. You absolutely cannot.
Right.
You can have sex with them and tell that they're HIV positive, or have some other STI, sexually transmitted infection. Absolutely not. I always tell
Rosalind, not to cut you off, but don't you do that, y'all? You find people that do that. They don't look like they got, HIV. Right. They don't look like they got syphilis or gonorrhea.
Mm-hmm. So I always, especially when I'm talking to my men, tell them to turn the light on. Look at what you're doing. Look at who you are having sex with. First of all, think about this thing. Jacquise just made a very important statement. Show your paperwork. Get your paperwork. We have men who have sex with men who do not consider themselves gay and will have sex with women. Okay.
Real talk.
And will not tell you they're having sex with men.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for that. We had to talk, and that's all part of this conversation. Stuff is going to be popping off, because also, Rosalind, please, HIV, AIDS, what's the difference, the definition? Because some people don't have we hear it, but we don't know what the hell it is.
So you cannot have AIDS without having HIV. HIV is the initial infection. It attacks what we call the CD4 or T cell. That is a white blood cell that is your immune system. So over time, it continues to kill these cells, and it continues to replicate itself. You are most infectious at the beginning of your HIV status, which is not when people get tested, because they have sex, look good, feel good, and keep going. Mm-hmm. Only a doctor can give you a diagnosis of AIDS. That means your blood cell count is below 500, I think it is. Some people have had a count of 5, where they should literally be dead. So that makes your immune system compromised, which means anything could kill you. A cold turns into pneumonia. This is how people die from AIDS-related illnesses.
Wow.
It is not the AIDS that kills them, it's the illnesses. It is because their immune system is compromised. So HIV, and then you diagnosis by a doctor that you have AIDS. There are so many treatments now that have made this now a chronic disease, that it is manageable. But, I want to make sure we have a part 2 of this, because I really want to focus on transmission, because that is the meat of it. That is the source of why we have such high infection rates, why we have them among Black and brown people. We still have high infection rates among white gay males.
Right.
But it is still increasing for women of all races.
Right. And thank you so much. I know we've been so engrossed in the conversation. I'm the timekeeper too, y'all. We got about 20 more minutes. We're doing good on time, and believe it or not. And I know with a good conversation, ladies, hey, my guess, I don't want to keep you too long, but we got about 20 minutes if you're willing to give me that. I know we was doing our thing behind the scene, but definitely want to keep, like you said, Rosalind, we need to do a part 2. We need to go dig deep and even do, if you don't mind, scenario situations. For example, that I think people really resonate with, like, let's set this scene. You got a man meets a, that kind of thing, Rosalind. If you willing to do it, and Jacquise, you always want ready to rock and ready to rock. But I want to, Jacquise, I know you had a question, but let me also go into, because the time purposes, community impact. But before, go ahead and ask your question, Jacquise, because then I want to talk about Black women. Like Rosalind, you mentioned the numbers are missing, but let's talk about Black women. But go ahead, Jacquise.
I'm going to throw in to talk about age groups, because rates from 20-year-olds up to over 60.
Oh yeah. Oh, we gonna tap into that. I got something to say about that. Jacquise, what you got to ask? You want to ask?
Yeah,
something?
One of the things that I found fascinating is the women who get it from the men, but they married. So and Rosalind, this is kind of putting you on the spot. So I don't. If you don't want to answer it, please don't. Rosalind's married, and to think about other women who are married, and it's like, I've been with the same person 30 years. I don't need to get tested, and then they find themselves with a viral load of 15, and so they're not feeling well. They think they got cancer or whatever. They go to the doctor, they get tested. Oh my God, I got HIV, but I've only been with this one man.
Yep.
And then all the shit comes out. Rosalind, how do you convince people who are in long-term relationships to still get tested?
Good one.
Absolutely. Excellent question. I can't tell you, and it has been heartbreaking to me, how many women have come to me in long-term, what they believed were monogamous relationship, who came up HIV positive. I have gone past the point of trying to convince people. I put the information out there. I've been married 30 plus years. And somewhere in us, in me, you will have a feeling about some things. Okay. As a woman, you just have a feeling about some things. I haven't had a feeling to doubt my husband, but I know there are women, I'm friends with them, who do. Whether or not they take the next step to get tested, they have not confided in me yet. I have had women who told me, I think my husband has another family. Okay, you need to get tested.
Wow.
Yeah, I really believe there is something in us that has those feelings. So I put that information out there. If you have it, and just again, normalize this, as Jacquise has said, make it just part of what you do when you go for a physical exam. Give me an HIV test.
Rob's husband is fine, y'all. He's a pretty man.
Pretty
man.
All right, Rob.
Amen.
Said amen. I second that.
Yes.
That's what's up, y'all. Yes. You just come into this combo. I got Rosalind, the founder of Gospel Against AIDS, and Jacquise, my fam, the Purifoy Experience. I hope I gave that. Yeah. And we talk
like purified water.
Purifoy. I need to write that down. Purifoy Experience. And
yes,
Jacquise, we didn't even talk about what you do, because I know I was coming in from the angle that you went and got tested just because. But please tell everybody real quick, what are you into? What's going on with you, Jacquise?
I'm on a new track, a new career. I'm a 9th grade history teacher at Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. I am formally trained as an attorney. I took the bar, passed the bar in 2010, but I'm not practicing law today. I'm teaching. And that's what you saw in my post, me spreading the information, the gospel, right, of what is important to me. Teaching history for me. If you don't know your past, you bound to repeat it, right? And that's where we start with our young people. I'm a steward over the youth, so I teach. I'm a Black woman. I feel like I'm responsible to inform that demographic because I am a Black woman. I'm a leader in the community. It starts with me.
Amen. See, that energy, that spirit told me to ask Jacquise. I never really asked Jacquise that. I had an idea what she did because I'm the same way. That's why we connect so well, Rosalind. Now we all family, because I wear different hats. I done changed. I done just got out of substitute teaching. I did it for some months because I was in between jobs, and I did it one thing thinking about money, and then totally ran in that wow, no clue.
Yeah.
One, which is why we're talking today about AIDS and HIV, because it's one of those things where when you are unconventional or open like we are, y'all, you will meet people. Like I'm telling you, life been y'all. I'm talking about, I can tell we can jump off of some other topics, but to meet this person face to face and they telling me they're HIV positive, I'm like, damn, what the last, I don't even know. I can't even say I've met anybody, but I'm just so honored that y'all are here with me, blessing the mic. And, we talk, and I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. We're going to have to do a coffee and dinner or convo with folks. Folks going to want to meet up.
Yes. You've met more people with HIV and AIDS than you're aware of. It's just like you said, look,
but they're open about it. You know what I'm saying, Jacquise? Are open. And I really do. I'm honored that person. I'm so thankful that person felt comfortable enough, and it made me realize, like you said, that there's probably more that's not willing to admit it.
And there are more who don't know.
That's what I was saying. Don't know that they got it. And going back to that community impact, Black women. You were saying, Jacquise, like you said, Black women that are married. Rosalind, you was talking about, you meet so many women who are married that question whether or not their spouses stepped out and all that. But you know what? Going into the next part or segment, we talking about awareness. We talked about community impact right now. Rosalind, start leading us into how do you get tested or seek care? Now I know Jacquise was talking about she went to her doctor, but what about you just want to go get tested? You don't want to be going to get a physical and all. You just want to go get tested because you want to have some sex later. I'm just being honest, being real.
That's right. People call me. Where can we get tested? There were last year probably twice as many testing sites as there are now. There are less and less.
Less
and less.
But the numbers are probably
absolutely escalating because people are still having sex. People are still using drugs. People are diabetic and sharing needles because they may not be able to afford clean or new needles. So again, yes.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm passionate about
Marjon, your face.
Because it doesn't make sense, y'all. So if we got less testing sites, why is that? Is it cost or what is it?
It is coming from the federal government, who has put out a mandate that they will not support certain organizations anymore. Okay. They have also put out mandates to Medicare that won't provide money for certain HIV medications anymore. Because and when we get into medications, that requires a whole session. I will just stress here that if a person is diagnosed with HIV, it is a chronic disease and is treatable just like anything else. And now here is the challenge. They will have to find an insurance carrier that will cover their medications.
Jeez.
So let's get back to initial infections. A lot of this also has to do with self-esteem. What do you feel you deserve? So I'm going to talk to you, my queens and young queens, because when you are 21, 25, and I'm sitting here looking at these numbers, 30, 35, 35 to 39, highest rates of infection.
Which one is? Wait, say that again, Rosalind, because some of us, we be having these senior moments and we come back in and out. Say that age group again.
The age group with the highest number, 35 to 39. But the infection rates start at 15 and 19 and go up to, and the numbers are increasing, 60 years old and plus.
Wow.
It's some senior living. It's some senior living, right? You in a senior living place. When them people was having sex back in the day, it was a different story. So now you all in this senior living community, when you was having sex, you could have sex unprotected. And then you got, Dirty Fred in there slinging that dirty D all around.
Yeah.
Ain't unaware that he's infected.
That's right. We used to go into, that was some of our regular stomping ground, senior citizen complexes.
Right.
Go in and provide testing. People have lost a spouse. The last thing they're thinking of is getting an HIV test. We had an 80-year-old woman who was HIV positive, just like I had a 13-year-old who was HIV positive. Their first sexual encounter, they contracted HIV.
Wow. So let me ask y'all. Let me be real. Let's do a scenario. Just a quick little scenario. I'm just gonna go real raw because I feel the love in this little podcast room here.
Okay.
I meet somebody and I know I want to have sex with them, or whatever, and I want to go get tested. So what is the next step? Walk me through it, y'all. Do I gotta have it? Blue Cross Blue? I mean, can I just go somewhere? Can I? What is the next step? I'm being so raw and real because somebody's gonna be wondering this. That here's
there
this.
are 4 agencies that I know of right now where you can get tested. Isn't that a shame?
And Rosalind, what is that? Do I call? Can I go online schedule? Because everybody don't want to. Everybody know they're going to get a HIV test or AIDS test or whatever.
To find out what agencies that are now exist where you can go in and get an HIV test, you'd have to go to the website of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, if you're in Michigan, right? Okay, and go there and
they will list the agencies, and those agencies have certain times, because you can't just walk in. What I would suggest, you can go to a pharmacy, and I guess they still have Or Quick, which is a brand name from Or Sure, where you can take a swab, test yourself, self-test, and you get your results in 20 minutes. We were using these during COVID because we were doing remote testing because we had to figure out something.
Right.
Sent them a kit. They come on Zoom. We show them how to test, and they show us the results and let them know their status. We would go into substance abuse treatment centers and do this. So, Or Quick. I don't know what the cost is. It used to be about $50. I'm assuming you can still get them at Walgreens or CVS.
Wow. Okay.
That's where we're at now. And once you get that diagnosis, once you get your results, contact one of those agencies.
Wow.
Send us an email.
Wow.
And the reason I'm directing people to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is because I don't know how long those agencies will be funded to test.
Wow. Rosalind, Gospel Against AIDS, your organization. I mean, I know people are going to hear or see this and they want to know how they can support HIV awareness efforts in their own, in their own communities. And even your organization.
Yeah, let me just back up a minute, because talking about those agencies that are losing funding, one of the things that have been on my heart, and the reason I've gone into houses of worship, there are and probably will never be a shortage of houses of worship.
Right.
And my goal has always been that you can walk into a church, ask someone, and there will be a non-stigmatizing person that can say, okay, you need an HIV test, come this way.
Right.
And I have had that happen. Right. And my goal is to continue that. Now, one of the things I have been finding nationally and internationally are agencies that ask me, can you replicate this? Because it works so well. Can you show us how to engage our houses of worship, regardless of the faith, and have them become HIV awareness and testing sites? I absolutely can. One of the first things we do is an anti-stigma training. But yes, that's my goal. I love to have volunteers, love to hear from people. Website, I believe you had it up, www.gospelaa.org. Our email, gospelagainstaids, all one word, @gmail.com.
Right. I do. I have it up. Please reach out to Rosalind at Gospel Against AIDS. And like you said, we have it up on the screen and everything, Rosalind. Because I think what's going to happen is you're going to have people listening and watching this, and they just like, you know what, it's a lot to process, or they're trying to process different parts of the podcast episode, and they just going to want to reach out to you. Sure. And I know, like I said, it started with Jacquise on Facebook, and then I met that person, and all that, among all life being lifing and all my other, what going on, I was like, man, this is, because guess what, y'all, when it don't have nothing to do with you, you kind of just put it on you don't care. But when it's like, dang, that could be me. That's right.
And I'll tell you, it is so precious to have Jacquise on, because you have someone who wanted to get tested. How many years? Right. I've known her for years. And she just, okay, I'm going to go to get tested. Met her, as she mentioned, in Hanson Clark's office. We were coming in to do training, and she probably thought, as she said, this doesn't apply to me.
Exactly. Right.
And the more she worked with me and saw who was coming in, how this was, and just simply looking at the numbers, she thought, well, let me get tested. And probably the same train of thought she had was exactly my train of thought when I first started the organization. This has nothing to do with me. Then I met a 60-year-old grandmother, African American, with custody of her 8 grandchildren, who was HIV positive.
Wow. Yeah. And here's the thing, Rosalind, Jacquise, real talk. You're dealing with the different, places of worship, churches and so forth. And it's like, it's so, you got to start somewhere. Now, kudos for you for doing that, Rosalind. But, I just think that in 2026, I'm not surprised by the numbers, both numbers, the numbers of cases and then the number of resources. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it's not making sense, but I get it. And it's sad. And that's why I wanted to do this episode, because I feel like this is where it starts. We got to start talking about it and then challenging our places of worship.
I mean, Marjon, we just can't be that horny, because this, 30 seconds can change your life.
No, I know.
I got a high sex drive. I want all the sex in the world if I can have it. I've been absent though.
But
since
that's real.
Since being sober, because I want more spiritual connection than I want that immediate gratification, that physical release, that carnal desire. Like I don't want you so much that I'm willing to die for you. You're a stranger. I don't know you, but I don't want you so much that I'm willing to die for you.
Right. But Jacquise said, Roz, let me tell you something else that happened. When I talk to this individual, and I know they're going to probably see it, and it is what it is. They know I'm so real and transparent, y'all. I said, when you meet, because this person was like, I got to go because I got to meet my boyfriend. What? I don't even have a man. You see what I'm going with this, y'all? I said, you got a boyfriend? They were like, yeah. I said, no. We was in the parking lot. I said, no, get in this vehicle. What do you tell people?
What Jacquise has said all along, and again, it is a point I always bring up. It's about respect, self-respect. Okay. She made some decisions at a certain point in her life because of certain life situations that she was not going to settle for just having a release at the moment, the thrill of the moment. She said, I want a life, and my life is not worth me risking it for this one person and this one time, or 2 to 5 times.
You ain't that fat. You ain't that fat, girl.
Ain't got it going on like that.
But I get you, Rosalind. And not to cut you, I guess let me put this out here, because I'm speaking from, I love to give different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Because you got different people that are going to be watching and listening. I had to ask, I'm like, what do you say when you meet somebody? You know what they told me? They said, she told me, she said, I basically tell them up front, look, I'm HIV positive. I said, what is the response? She said, some people are like, deuces, I'm good. I ain't no shade, or heck, get the hell away from me, whatever, And then there's the others like, F it, I don't care. We'll just use protection. I don't care. And that's when I was like,
people can take her part, they can take PrEP, and it prevents you from getting HIV and AIDS, and Bronson can speak more on PrEP, so it's preventative measures. when they know, hey, you got HIV and AIDS. So then you can take certain medications to reduce or protect yourself from getting
absolutely
HIV.
Something called PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. You need a script nowadays to get it. That's a whole nother thing. But you can take an HIV medication 2 days before you're planning to have sex, and take it that day and a number 2 days afterwards, and you will not transmit the virus. It is a preventative measure. Absolutely. Medication has come such a long way. If a person is HIV positive, they can take a pill every day to suppress the HIV. Keep it, again, it is a chronic disease. It never goes away. Okay.
Wow.
There are injections that you can take once a year or twice a year, again, to prevent transmission. The Center for Disease Control has something called U equals U. Undetectable is untransmittable. If a person's virus load drops to a certain level of being undetectable, they will not transmit the virus. But to get to that point, they have to keep taking the medication every day, every dose, every time.
Dang.
We never thought that we would come to that in medication, in the medical field. We never thought, it was just beyond thought. You could find a medication to take and not transmit the virus. Okay, so this person is HIV positive. They're taking these meds. They say they're not transmissible, but why would you even take the risk? Use a condom, latex condoms. Do not use animal skin condoms. They're porous. The virus can go through it. Do not use lubricant oils because that deteriorates the condom and makes it more susceptible for leakage. Water-based lube. Use a condom. Just keep them there.
Wow. Man,
you got female condoms, don't you, Rosalind?
I didn't hear you.
I said, and there's female condoms.
Absolutely. They're dental dams. You know how you used to go to the dentist's office? They put that little plastic, same thing if a man is giving a woman oral sex. So if a woman is giving a woman oral sex, put it on the vagina, give them oral sex. And they come in flavors. Okay.
Wow. Drop the mic on that. Okay. And that's what I'm saying. That's why when I saw Jacquise, I was telling Rosalind this offline. When I knew you had your organization, Roz, like I said, but when I saw the spiritual part, I was like, oh boy. And you told me you go talking about HIV, AIDS awareness and passing out all this stuff. I'm like, wow, how is that going? You know, and
just the conversations we're having right now. I do a workshop called Let's Talk About Sex.
There you go.
And we talk about it.
Exactly.
I do it for women. They'd have me come in for young folks. I speak to men about this, men in correctional facilities. And, you know, I love my brothers because they have been so sensitized to the needs and protecting women. Not all of them, but a lot of them have because of whatever choices they made. It doesn't matter. So from these correctional facilities, they're writing letters. They're doing more outreach than we have and do on a daily basis. Isn't that a shame?
Dang. Yeah, I believe it. I've done prison ministry too.
Mm-hmm.
Add that to the list. And I think the more you do and get out there, you start to realize you just can't assume. You got to. That's where the misconceptions kind of go away. And that's why, like I said, I wanted to do this episode because I've realized I had some misconceptions, y'all. I'm just keeping it real. I'm the type of
having biases is real. We all have biases in different ways. Right. You're not alone in that.
Yeah, right. And just like being in the school system, there's some things I'm like, dang, that's a change. So I can only imagine what it's like trying to do some type of awareness with HIV and AIDS in the school and then in the nursing. You know what? It wasn't until my grandmother was in a senior facility that I realized that it was sex going on there. Because one person asked me, they said, have you looked into like STD? I said, excuse me? He said, it's a hot. I said, what the hell? My mom, I didn't even have the stomach to tell my mother that. I was like, I didn't even think about that. He said, you might want to look into that.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the schools. Oh my goodness. So Jacquise and I are working on some things, but schools invite me all the time, high schools, but they have me come in on career day, which so they don't have to, but they still do get parental consent. They'll have me come in on a panel on career day with different people talking about different businesses. I have an international business. People don't think of a nonprofit as a business, but trust me, it really is. And they will ask me about the business part of it. And the instructors, whoever invites me, always says, if someone asks you to talk about HIV, you must talk about it because you're in front of the audience. Usually the person who's told me that is the person that asks.
Wow, yeah. Well, we get about 5 minutes. Hey, perfect timing. Any other food for thought that y'all want to tell the listeners, the watchers? I know Rosalind, Jacquise, I'm putting you on the spot. We're going to have to do a coffee and convo. That's my new thing I do. I meet people in the community at a little local restaurant, and it's getting so big now because we talk about everything, especially with these teens. Just everything, teen takeovers, everything. But I think that we need to talk. I do have a lot of Black women that come, and this is a hot topic, even whether it's a sorority, a church, whatever. And people are hungry because they're like, I'm so glad you're talking about this.
Yes.
We don't talk like
we don't talk.
We don't talk at all, hell.
No, let me just drop a seed into all of your listeners. And it's just a few words. You deserve better. Okay. Bottom line. You deserve better.
There you go. That's
and I would
deep.
say, in regards to the resources, Planned Parenthood is still around. And when you talked about the people who don't have health insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they do a sliding scale. So if you're unemployed or underemployed, they look at your economic situation. So services could be free depending on how much you earn or little to no cost. And they will do HIV, panel, STI, panel testing. And you can find Planned Parenthood. Go to PlannedParenthood.org or Google it and look it up, make an appointment to get
and I know they're struggling.
Let me update you about the Planned Parenthood. I just saw the directive. They've just closed. I don't know how many, and are closing. I don't know how many sites in the state of Michigan. So I referred folks back to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. I know they try to keep their website updated as to where you can get free tests. If you email me, there are some testing sites I know and events that we will be at where I know I will bring in testers and you can get tested there.
Okay. And also, Rosalind, if somebody wants to bring you to their church or their organization, their school, their event, they can go to the website. Definitely. This is how we connect. And I definitely would love to volunteer and see what that's like, because I believe knowledge is power. Jacquise has said, you just got to be, for you, even if you're horny, you still gotta take a pause for the cause because it's not worth it. And I'm telling you, thank you two so much. This ain't gonna be the last, because we need to go in deeper, y'all. Because what I found out, you may want to have we might need to go live and let people call in and ask questions, because that's when you be like, dang, I wasn't even thinking about that.
That's right.
All right, y'all. Till next time. Hey, thank you so much. Love all of you. And guess what? Ain't not a damn thing you can do about it. That's why I tell people I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Rosalind and Jacquise, much love.
Thank you.
Much love back. Thank you, Rosalind, for saying yes, for joining us today. It's always great to see you.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, y'all hold on. We're about to close out. Yeah. Hold on. We'll talk a little bit and then I'm about to close it out. Y'all, till next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for Rosalind and Jacquise coming in with the amazing convo and info. All right, y'all. Until next time, y'all. Love, peace.